Okay, we're actually going to try a new segment, so I want you guys to roll with us. Well, listen, let's do something that maybe we can all chime in on. With us on the phone now is my good friend Tyson Saner. Tyson, are you there?
Hello.
Tyson!
Hello, sir.
And it's nice to have you join the program.
It's, how's everybody today?
Hey, man, it's good to have you here. And for those of us who don't know, Tyson is our entertainment editor. Hold on.
There we
go.
Now I can do
Lights, camera, action.
Crush your enemies.
60% of the time,
Everybody has a song.
every time.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Somebody's got to go back and get a shitload.
You all night doing this.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Great line.
Yeah, there you go. See, Tyson, you're with us to talk a little bit of film. What do you got for us today, buddy?
Today's selection is Plan 9 from Outer Space.
A classic. I think we all have
classic,
respect for Ed Wood. All right, go ahead.
Absolutely. Well, Plan 9 from Outer Space was a film that was originally titled Grave Robbers from Outer Space, and it was released in 1959, being shot in 1956 for a budget of $60,000, which today would be about $250,000.
Yeah.
And it stars Bela Lugosi, sort of, in his final role. Unfortunately, he died approximately 3 months before the film actually began being shot, so they used stock footage intersposed with a double, I guess you could say, who didn't really resemble him, but it almost kind of fits together in the editing, which is actually kind of the point to me. It's all make-believe, so if you have decent editing in this regard, I enjoyed the story and kind of what it was trying to do, and despite all of its flaws, it's just a very... I have a deep affection for this film.
I've got a quick question for you. Now, we just had actually Juliet Landau on a couple weeks back,
yes,
who was
yes.
in the film Ed Wood with Johnny Depp. And in that film, they actually portray the making of Plan 9. And how accurate would you say that was?
Well, it seems quite a bit of it was pretty accurate. There are some little details that aren't consistent. When Bela is filming his scenes outside of his quote-unquote house in Ed Wood, the film, it was actually apparently Tor Johnson's house, but it probably worked better for the story and the way it flowed. They would have had to explain, I suppose, why they made a detour. The other footage of him in his vampire cape was taken during, I believe, also 1956 for an untitled project, or an unrealized project called The Vampire's Tomb. Or, let's see, what was that also called?
Vampire's Tomb. That's a good title.
Who was the woman? Wasn't the Vampirella was also in Plan 9 film?
Vampira, yeah.
Yes. Sorry, go ahead.
No. It was Ryan was asking you if Vampira was in the film, and she is.
Absolutely, she was the late night horror theater host.
Yes.
Maya Nurmi later, I believe, sued Elvira for copyright infringement on character type. But she was, and she refused. I believe it was pretty much she did refuse to speak, and that was accurate. One thing that I found recently while looking it up is that Gregory Walcott, the actor who plays the lead pilot, Jeff Trent, in the film, actually had quite a bit of acting experience previous to Plan 9, although in the film it was portrayed as him just sort of arriving on the set and, who's this? Oh, this is our choir teacher. Well,
right.
He actually had quite a few television credits leading up to it. 4 in 1952, only 1 in 1953 and 4. In 55, he had 8 roles, and in 56, another 8, but 9 if you count Plan 9. So he was pretty well established, and is actually one of the reasons I enjoy the film so much, because he's so earnest in his performance. Being on these fake sets and playing make-believe with everybody else, and it's...
So there's a level of sincerity there, but it's not so much. I think in the film Ed Wood, right, they all got baptized to get the money from the church to make the movie, and then the church executive showed up and said, "This is your leading guy." Basically, pulled a studio stunt only through the church channels. Yes. And what you're saying is that he did show up like that, but he had some experience. He wasn't just pulled off out of the church choir and Shazam.
Exactly, yes, but that sort of thing. But for the most part, it's fairly accurate. They were very faithful with a lot of the recreations of the scenes, including the silly. There's this wonderful set that Tor Johnson, as he's rising from the grave, which is a very key element to the plot. Actually, you know what? Should I go back and explain a little bit of the plot and what the idea of where it's going is?
I think when you're talking about an Ed Wood film, is there really any plot to explain, Tyson? I mean, are we really...
Certainly.
Are we... You know, and I should explain to our listeners what we're doing here is the idea is Tyson is going to bring sort of a vintage classic film, so to speak, in one way or another to the show's attention. So it's not necessarily going to be your mainstream entertainment. It's going to be something unique. And in this case, he picked Plan 9 because there's some things he likes about it in sort of a sincere level. So if you're thinking you're going to get a review of War Horse or something like that, that's somebody else's show. So, all right, give us the plot points real quick.
Well, the plot of the film involves extraterrestrial beings who are seeking to stop humans from creating a doomsday weapon that would destroy the universe. And in order to do this, they basically arrive near the planet and then decide they're going to reanimate dead people to let Earth people know that something, although non-specifically, is going on. And that is where they are when that's what happens when they get to Earth. So they raise Bela Lugosi's character's quote-unquote wife from the grave. That's Vampira. Tor Johnson, the Swedish wrestler, played by George the Animal Steele in the film, was a police inspector who happened to be investigating, I believe it was the strange lights and whatnot in the sky, and basically the idea that a spaceship is near, goes looking for it, and it becomes one of the other undead. And I'm missing, I believe that Bela Lugosi's character was raised before Inspector Clay, but
so it's a master plan. You've got, an apocalyptic situation, and the aliens have to stop it, and the only way they can do that is by implementing Plan 9.
What plan will you follow now?
Plan 9. It's been absolutely impossible to work through these Earth creatures. Their soul is too controlled.
Plan 9. Ah, yes. Plan 9 deals with the resurrection of the dead. Long-distance electrode shot into the pineal and pituitary glands of recent dead.
Yes, they want to intimidate the Earth people into realizing that they're making terrible, terrible mistakes. Apparently, we are on the verge of creating a substance known as solarbanite, which is, it has the effect of exploding sunlight molecules.
Solarbanite. The solarbanite.
So what if we do develop this solarbanite bomb?
When you have the solarbanite, you have nothing.
You speak of solarbanite.
You see? You see? Your stupid minds. Stupid! Stupid!
That's all I'm taking from you.
Get back here, you jerk!
My question is, do you actually need to know this to watch the movie, and can you understand this is actually getting across? Because you're very cerebral. I mean, would I understand that this is sort of like what's going on in this movie? Because this film is pretty atrocious in many ways. I mean, this
go ahead.
Is this the one? Where's the one where the giant octopus attacks Bela Lugosi, and Lugosi has to move the octopus arms when he's in the swamp? Like, he has to move his own... Like, he has to maneuver the fake octopus to look like it's attacking him. Is that this movie?
That's actually Bride of the Monster. It was a film he made just before it. Actually, there's a film between Bride of the Monster and Plan 9 that doesn't get talked about in the film, Ed Wood, and that's Jailbait, which had, I guess, what was Steve Reeves' title? Was he, I don't want to say Man of the Year. What did they call them back then? Not America's Sexiest Man. He was a lifter,
Mr. Universe.
Was he Mr. Universe?
Was he a Mr. Universe, Steve Reeves? I think he was, yeah.
That sounds right. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and that actually was not a bad film either. I mean, on some levels, it's probably better than Plan 9 in the sense that they didn't try to do too many sci-fi elements, so they tried to get by mostly on story, and it's a very Twilight Zone-esque story. But not many people mention that one. I didn't even know it existed for many years until just after Ed Wood was released as a film, and I renewed my obsession with finding as many movies of Ed Wood's as I could.
That's awesome that you're making the effort to be a sincere Ed Wood fan, because I don't think any of us have heard of that movie either. So, you're one of the few. We're gonna have to revisit this a little bit later because, of course, the show's over, and I think a lot of people are relieved.
I didn't bring my notepad.
Not because of you, but just because it's been that kind of day. I mean, I think people can listen to Tyson talk about Ed Wood all fucking day. But the problem is, the only way you'd be able to do it is you'd have to do it by listening to me, too, and running the show, and then at that point, that's when everyone climbs back into their tiger cage.
And Scotch helps.
But Scotch helps. Listen, see, that's family talking right there.
Yeah.
But Tyson, we actually had a very interesting documentary pick on the books to discuss today. The show ran late.
Yes.
We're all going to go up there. We're all going to beat Bagel like a piñata as soon as we get out of the studio. But next week, we'll bring you back, and we'll talk about some additional films we discussed that our audience should really hear and embrace because they're fucking fantastic classics. So, Tyson, I want to say thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, sir, and it was nice, quote unquote, meeting all of you today.
Yeah. Sorry, there was actually no introduction. I'm sorry, that's my fault. But with us is Rick Mora from Twilight, The Dead of the Damned, J-Ro of the Licks, Mark Bryan of Transformers. And, everyone's trying to get the fuck out of here, so we'll get to more later, buddy.
Classic, absolute
Thank you for
Thank you,
see
Tyson.
101.
Yes. He knows his stuff. He knows his stuff.
Cheers, Tyson.
Yeah, we see that.
He knows what's up. Wait, hold on. I want to play his closing music.
Oh, see, he has a closing song, too?
And a
I'll get some music together for you. Here it goes. All right, here we go.
Lights, camera, action.
Watch your enemies.
60% of the time, it works every time.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Somebody's got to go back and get a shitload of that. Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You guys want some theme music too? Do you guys need some theme music?
Every superhero needs theme music.
Right. Yes.